Hello, everyone. It looks like I am live here. This is my first live that I've led, um, and I'm going live here with Ryan O'Neill Allen or Allen. He goes by R.O. Allen on this platform. I think that's his author name too. There he is, Ryan. Good morning.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm all right. Because it's the first time I've used this. So I was like, oh, how do I use this? How do I use my phone? So I'm having to use my phone because I thought I was going to go get online through the computer, but whatever reason it's sharing it. So anyway,
Yeah, it's
it's nice to see
see.
you.
Nice to see you as well. This is our first face to face, isn't it?
It's been it's been a long time since we spoke, right? It's been a long,
Right.
long time.
But we've never actually done a face to face before. We've always
No,
done video to audio.
we have. That's the only time. I'm just going to readjust. I'm a bit more. Yeah. So we've never done it, have we? I thought we'd done this
Yeah.
before. No.
Mean, wisdom turned noom was cool
Yeah.
because it's always just the presence of the stream of consciousness coming through, but never
Yeah.
actually like reading body cues.
Yeah.
Uh, and so this is a first one, and props to thank you,
Cool.
Lexi, for joining us on this one.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
really impressed with the interview you had with the lady. I forgot her name so bad. Um,
I was afraid you were gonna forget because I forgot to.
well, the
Yeah,
conversation you had on this
thank God.
platform was
Mhm.
lovely, and I got to learn a little bit about how you see the world in terms of how you look at astrology, and I did send a very kind of impactful, quite a large question that I guess could not be answered in the time frame that you had at the time. So, but yeah, I'm really delighted to be here and talk about lots of wonderful, amazing things.
I'm really curious what your question was that you thought was really interesting that I didn't get to dive in enough. I'd love to explore that either here or at another time. Um,
I think it's quite a big question. It was around how do you identify someone's life path and the probabilities of that through using the astrological circular diagram. Because I found that quite intriguing because everyone's life paths are also individual, so unique, and all these lines join up from one thing to another. And I always wonder, how does one actually know? Because I all I know is I'm Pisces, and I know that my moon, and there's something to do with the moon. I love the water and all of that. So yeah, I guess another conversation. We could do more of these anyway, right?
Happily. Yeah, if you text me, message me on the back channels your
Yep.
birthday, birth time, birth city,
Yep.
uh, I can pull it up and I can look at it.
Yeah.
Um, but what I think's really interesting about that is that and the way that I approach it is that it's all astronomical. So it takes an
Okay.
astronomical foundation and it makes it movement and motion and sees it like when those pictures where like you see someone jumping and then they're
Yeah.
like framed in the middle of the air with their legs up like they're flying.
Yeah.
Well, there's a before and there's an after where they're
Oh,
on the ground, right?
okay.
And so every picture has what led into the picture and led out of the picture.
Right.
And so the snapshot in in motion unfolding. And
Okay.
so the astrology chart is just a snapshot
Okay.
of a moment,
Right.
but all of the so what the astrology chart doesn't show is orientation within the greater cosmos, like
Okay.
orientation of the solar system of the Earth ecliptic to the solar system ecliptic.
Right.
So the celestial equator is the Earth's ecliptic, and then the
Wow.
solar system has its own solar ecliptic, and then there's a galactic plane that is
Wow.
another angle, and those things are physics. They're
Okay.
not just mythology. And
Okay.
so taking all of the little data points, like um all of the planets, so the the solar system is not a flat disk like we were taught in like middle school, right?
I
It's not
figured
like
that out.
we all were like, yeah. So there's this the sun is a shooting star essentially,
Yeah, yeah,
and going around the galaxy
yeah,
240, 250 million years or
yeah.
so, sun to make a year. Um, and so the sun is like a shooting star, and the planets are orbiting around it.
Yes. Alexi's asking, "Are you serious Pisces?" I am. Am I a serious Pisces or am I Pisces? I'm a Pisces and I'm quite serious. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very serious Pisces.
I'm very, very creative. I am very academic. I try to kind of play that down, but every time I do, it surfaces quite quickly that I'm not just smiley smiley. I have a lot going on in my head, and I've written a novel and all that, and I'm very excited. So
Maybe
really excited about the year, and congratulations on the baby because I heard about you having a newling, a newbie, and so congratulations on that front. Yeah,
maybe
go
we
ahead.
call you Smiley Smiley now as your nickname.
Well, I am because people say smiley, smiley. You're so smiley, smiley. So, but yeah, I'm really pleased to connect with you and see you and actually talk to you because we've never done it. I don't know why we haven't or whatever, but we're here and we come up with this idea to talk about some questions and
Yeah.
I'm a clairvoyant, so Alexia, I'm a clairvoyant. You probably have 1,000 questions to ask me about that, but where would you like to start this conversation?
Well, so man, I don't know if your desktop is like my desktop, but I've got 400 windows open, and
I
I
always do that.
do a better job of them out. But we talked specifically about discussing
Yeah,
um, the clairs,
yeah,
unlearning, and personhood.
yeah,
Uh, and what I think is really interesting in kind of our shared stories, like where our stories both overlap, is in the space of um, socialization and then unlearning the socialization in favor of living your essence.
yeah,
Uh, I think we're both kind of on a path like that.
yeah. We are.
Um, and so I think like talking about the clairs, embracing the clairs. I made a document where I went through and I looked at all of the clairs.
Yeah,
Maybe a quick little thing I could discuss um, is there's intuition, which is the classic sixth sense.
yeah,
There's clairsentience, which is clear feeling,
yeah. I have
sensing
mine
emotion.
open as well.
Or is that?
I've
What's
got
that?
my laptop open. I've got two laptops open. Got
Oh,
yeah. So I thought I'd try and be prepared for this. Carry on. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. Carry on.
so there's really like 10.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to read off the list of the different clairs, and
Hmm.
maybe whether it's now or for it's Alexi or someone else who reads this in
You two points. They are
the,
someone is
the
sleep.
recording, she. I don't know clairvoyance, but I asked someone if they perceived sleep paralysis, if they experienced sleep paralysis. Um, what is sleep paralysis? Because everyone there's a neurological, like, people who sleepwalk.
Yeah,
When you go to sleep, there's a biochemical disconnect between consciousness and your body
yeah,
that makes it so that you don't sleepwalk, but some people don't have that,
yeah.
uh, or that chemical
I
um
was, I'm
since
literally looking that up. I'm looking up the sleep paralysis. I'm just looking at that up right now,
cool.
and it's saying, yeah. So sleep paralysis is a state during waking up or falling asleep in which a person is conscious but in a complete state of full body paralysis. During an episode, the person may hallucinate, which often results in fear. Episodes generally last no more than a few minutes.
That sounds traumatic.
It does. I don't have sleep paralysis. I can say that straight away. I could sleep through a wall. I literally could. No, I could
Yeah.
sleep through. I could sleep through a wall, and I literally would be fast asleep. I love sleep. I'm very grateful that I can do that. I did remember a time, during COVID when I went through a house fire, and that was really quite awful. And I had real, I guess, PTSD at that point, and that was quite a real challenge. And I think all of that, it's really interesting when I look back that, people say, well, when horrible things happen, there's a reason why it's happening. There are things that are going to lead to something greater. And if that had never happened, I probably would never have met you on the Wisdom app at the time, is what it was called. Because I had no reason to be on the app or to seek it or look for it. So
Mhm.
that situation led to me connecting with you, and we've stayed connected ever since. And I think it's so these events that go on in our lives had led to me really exploring myself, and that was when clairvoyancy came into my foresight, because I had never experienced a level of disconnect from my body to a level that is supernatural, and it truly was extraordinary.
Mm. So, I haven't read the rest of the list of the Clairs. I'm happy to do that,
Yeah,
and I wanna talk to you. I wanna share. I don't know if this is, so part of my story, as you might remember, but maybe not, doesn't matter. I had a pretty bad car wreck, and I was in a coma, had a, out-of-body experience, had, PTSD for a long time, and it took 15 years for me to get a PTSD diagnosis, and just to lots of people have PTSD, but most people, the vast majority of people who have PTSD don't have PTSD exacerbated by the comorbidity symptom set of traumatic brain injury or TBI.
yeah,
And those two things significantly and dramatically exacerbate each other. And one of the things, so I was like 15, 16 years, 15 or so years into my PTSD experience, and it was had become quite complex PTSD by that point, and
wow,
I couldn't really hold a job. Um, I couldn't really, um, so I didn't really have like much money to do therapies. And so I had to kind of biohack and figure it out myself. And My dad's a pretty interesting character as a medical doctor who largely is reinventing medicine from a deeper understanding of the fascia connection in the body. Um, and so I grew up in the 90s with hearing conversations at the dinner table where it was like, the HMO is denying the claim on this person who got treatment 2 years ago, and they're just saying they're going to debit my account back to pay them back for this charge. They're like, and so like, but they got better when they saw me, and like
yeah,
it was um a really good template for 20 years later when I'm like dealing with this PTSD and having to kind of biohack my own reality.
wow,
And I found for PTSD, you mentioned it, so I'm offering this to you, a
yeah,
technique called emotional freedom technique, which
okay,
is really just the tapping.
oh,
To It's the tapping
yeah,
here,
I
and
do
then
that all
here.
the time anyway.
What's up?
I do this all the time on a more
You don't-
daily basis. Yeah,
Not okay. So you know about it. Awesome.
yeah, yeah.
How does it help you?
And that was a very big sigh there, because there's a lot behind that. Because what
It's
people
a
often, yeah,
it's
what a
a
lot of people forget, the world has gotten to the point where, thank goodness, we're talking about this, we're having this conversation, and we're in a safe space to do that. I've always felt that I wasn't in a safe space to talk about my
Mm.
feelings or what I was dealing with. On just dealing with life is hard. Yeah, go ahead.
You saw the end of where the ridicule might go. That's a
So
very
that again.
so so every water sign is water is fluid, right? And water
Mm,
finds level.
mm,
Um, but Pisces is it's the last sign in the zodiac. And it's the last one uh so it's got some of every sign before it,
yeah,
right? Like every 90-year-old has a little bit of wisdom from all 90 years before it, but
yeah,
no 1-year-old has 90 years of wisdom,
right.
right? That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So so Pisces has a little bit of understanding of all the signs before it, and it's right before the sun, right before before the Earth crosses back over the ecliptic. Um,
Okay. Right.
and so there's a understanding of um, where things logically end up.
Okay.
Water finds its lowest level, and Pisces finds the smoothest way to get there.
Okay. So to come in there, I would say that um, when when I didn't even know what PTSD was when I was
Mm,
in the moment. Like I just knew this is not me. Whatever
mhm.
this is completely alien to what I know. It was very clear with the experience I had, which was almost like a panic, like having a little bit of worry, and then you maximize it by 100, and that was what I was feeling, and I had no understanding that I was basically I put myself in sort of a mode of just working through the problem, working through the issue. Because I said, I can't be a victim. I can't do any of those things. What I can do is simply stay focused and get through. And the panic for me, as I learned, I went through for about 3 months. I went through 3 months of this, getting up, sleep, not able to sleep. So I knew there was something very wrong because I love my sleep and I'd sleep through a wall, but I certainly couldn't sleep through this. I was drenched in water on a daily basis. And I had to understand what was happening to me. And at that point, we didn't have anything like ChatGPT. So I couldn't just type in the ChatGPT, say, what's going on with my body? Da 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 da. And it's only later that I had to kind of put in some research, and I found out that there was some kind of level of trauma that my body wasn't able to wasn't able to release ultimately, and I realized that I was dealing with something quite intense. You lose your house. At a moment where you don't expect to. I came back from the gym and thinking everything's all fantastic, and then I get a phone call. So all of these moments really shocked my system. And as I learned over time, there's ways to alleviate that level of stress. One of them was cold water. So I realized that cold water was quite an important part of the process of release. I realized that. But I also heard about this tapping. And over the years post COVID, I realized that tapping these parts, any part of your face or body, is a way of releasing the energetic traumas that can still exist in your body and that we build over time. So that's kind of as much as I know. I'm sure there's more of a scientific description of it.
Yeah, cool experiential testimony. Um, it's not, in my experience, not a medical doctor, so I'm not telling anybody what to do here. Just a disclaimer. um,
Yeah.
uh, the way I've talked about it for maybe the last 10 years now is that it's not about any random place on the body. It's energy centers where there's nerve clusters. And I look at it like the analogy I have is like, imagine you're a knight who's going to a castle to save the princess, but you got to face the dragon. And PTSD is the dragon who's got this
Right.
energy lock on your princess, like your freedom, the beauty
Okay.
that you're trying to let out.
Yeah.
And you're trying to rescue yourself from your inner child in
Yeah.
the tallest tower of the most secluded castle in all of the world. And
Yeah.
um, I call it the ego fortress because it's you build it yourself, right? You
Yeah.
create it yourself. And Alexi, I'll get to your question here in just a second. Thank you so much for
Is it
asking.
amplified premonition? Okay.
But so what you're doing when you're doing the tapping is you're finding the place on the dragon where there's a loose scale, and you're
Okay.
throwing the spear exactly to the vulnerability in the dragon's armor so you can pop the balloon and deflate the dragon and realize he's just a stuffed animal, and you can like put him in your backpack because
Oh,
he's
I like that.
of you. You're not there to be afraid of him.
Yeah.
So ultimately, dragon is part of your um the dragon is part of your ego structure that's there to help you live more effectively, but it's become um what's the word where your immune system, it's autoimmune,
Yeah.
meaning like turned on yourself and it's keeping you safe, but it's really ultimately destroying you from the inside. Not to be
Okay.
dramatic.
Wow.
Uh,
Well, that's
so
yeah. Go ahead.
so what you do with what you're doing with the EFT is um you're reestablishing the orientation of the relationship orientation where the dragon is there to serve you, not to, it's there to serve your spiritual purpose and fulfillment as
Mm.
opposed to keep you in this fabricated sense of safety.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think that everybody is suffering from some level of trauma. I mean, even December is we think about it as Christmas and Santa Claus and reds and all the lovely trees and all the gorgeousness, but I think about my grandmother. She was always the most prominent person in my life, one of the most incredible human beings that is no longer here. And when I think about Christmas, I think about her. So I think it's very much. A time of reflection and trauma can come through, can surface. But I've done a lot of what I would call shadow work. So if anyone doesn't know what shadow work is, it's where you really look at the issues going on under the surface of the skin in your emotional minds, and you identify those key areas, and you begin to look at it and really unravel it and understand it, and then
Had-
through that process of understanding, you get better.
yeah, thanks for that explanation about shadow work. I'm pretty familiar with it and I've been doing it for a long time. And I think a lot of people have no idea about it. And it's easy, scared and pretend it's not real and not address it, then it's to like learn about it for most people.
Yeah,
Um, so maybe we do another one in the future that gets deeper into shadow work. That could be
yeah,
interesting.
happy to.
Alexi, would that be interesting? And if
It'd be fun.
anybody listens to this on the back end in the future, if you want us to do a talk about shadow work, I think we've both done an extensive amount of it. But I wanted to ask you, um, with that whole talk I did about the dragon and your share about your grandmother, it came up for me during listening to you talk about that to wonder if you've ever invited your grandma in spirit to have a conversation with you. And
Yes.
ooh, ooh,
I've
okay.
had Okay, so to make it easier to for anyone to understand, so as a clairvoyant, and I am all the five, well, I'm the five clairs. So I'm the five clairs.
Wait,
So
hold on. Let's go through this real quick. I
go on.
don't interrupt me, Mister. So clairsentience, I mentioned intuition is a classic sixth sense. Clairsentience is clear feeling.
Hmm.
It's where sensing emotions and energies in people, spaces, and situations. It's sensing emotions. Clairvoyance is clear seeing. It's where inner visions or symbolic imagery offering insight or guidance.
Mm,
Clairaudience is clear hearing. It's hearing your inner guidance, messages, or spiritual downloads. Claircognizance is clear knowing. It's sudden flashes of knowledge that seem to come from nowhere. Clair agency or psychometry is sensing history or energy from objects or physical touch.
hmm
Telepathy is soul to soul connection. It's connecting to others beyond words.
hmm
Soul resonance or inner truth discernment is that deep, unmistakable yes or no from within.
hmm
Moral perception or conscience is a clair, apparently, and it's innate knowing of right and wrong aligned with your soul's evolution. So, like your personal guidance system.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I guess there's two with one with a bonus. So the 10 says is intemporal expansion or soul time awareness, which is awareness beyond linear time, past lives, future potentials, and timeless truths. And the bonus is what it says is creative inspiration, receiving ideas, art, and insights from beyond your conscious mind. And so that list comes from uh, I did some chatting with the GPT about how can astrology help people deepen their self understanding, or what's the relationship between um, astrology and the clairs, and
Mm.
how it can help people develop their clairs. And that's
Yeah.
the list it gave me where it can help people develop.
Yeah.
So, um, if you had, um, when you send me your natal data, which we talked about
Yeah.
earlier, you
Yeah.
can, we can maybe do another talk at some point
Yeah.
amongst the many talked about already, where we'll explore like helping you develop whatever it is that you're like interested in.
Yeah.
But would that be interesting?
Of course. I'd be delighted
Cool.
to do that. Yeah.
Let's address Alexi's questions real quick. Does that sound good for
Yeah, of
you?
course. Yeah, yeah.
So Alexi said, yes, PTSD is hard. Your body needs to forget what happened to you, but you are not full person if you forget what happened to you.
Mm.
So that reminds me of that Jim Carrey movie, um, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I think it is,
I've seen
where
that.
he like tries to forget something, but his body remembers and his reality remembers, and he's not
Yep.
actually able to forget it.
You
And
can't.
so, I want to challenge that idea. It's not that you're, it's not, so we'll use the dragon analogy again. Like, it's not that you're trying to, vaporize the dragon or pretend that the dragon doesn't exist,
Mm.
or, you know, like vaporize, like make it into nothing.
Yeah.
Um, you're, you're really transmuting that dragon into a stuffed animal,
Yeah.
cute and cuddly, like everything that you want it to be, to help you use it for your own soul satisfaction.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's like anything, the yin to the yang. You can't have the dark without the you can't have this you can't have shadow without light. You can't have the light without the shadow.
Right.
It's like everything is working in an equilibrium of balance, and so I think it's very much a case of not looking at it as a bad thing, but it's just recognizing about how you can transmute those things to your benefit, and part of that comes back to shadow work, because in order for you to kind of move forward, sometimes you don't realize that we get into such a loop in life, where when we don't realize, if we haven't addressed some of the things of the past, we can't then move forward in the fullness. And it took me such a long time, many years of understanding this, that it's good to have a look at those things when you're ready, obviously, because a lot of people kind of go, oh, I don't really want to look at that, but actually it's really important that you do, when you're ready to. But yeah, absolutely, balance is key.
Yeah, cool. I think it would be interesting for you to do more on shadow work in your own channel, and see what kind of traction you get from that. Because I see that that's been a big theme in your life for
Yeah.
what, 4 years or so we've known each other.
Oh, probably. Yeah, it has been 4. Yeah, 4 years has been huge, huge
Yeah, we
part of
like
my life.
that early in Noom.
It's
Um,
I mean, writing. I guess writing a novel, and having something that I'd prepared and planned this book 8 9 years ago.
mhm.
And I guess when you don't look at certain things that are preventing you, I'm saying to myself, I can write this book. Why am I not finishing it? What's going on? Is there a pattern in my life that I'm not finishing what I start? And that was kind of a key thing that I recognized that it was important for me to do. But yeah, we'll
Nice.
do. Yeah.
Cool. So Alexi said, yes, I want strategies, opinions on PTSD or clairvoyance. So what I would suggest and what I did that like really helped, is I just like went on YouTube and I said, EFT for symptom, or I just typed in EFT videos because I did this in like 2015, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I really got a handle on it myself and I could kind of do it myself.
Yeah.
Um, But what I would do is I would go on YouTube and I would type in EFT for um, car accident, EFT for uh, emotion. I don't remember but you can really do it for anything.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. The point is that to look at the video, to look at the titles, and then scroll through and read the titles and find the ones, or recognize, identify the ones that are the most charged, because the bigger the dragon, the bigger
Yeah.
the change.
Oh
And
yeah.
most people get
Yeah.
intimidated by the size of their feelings.
Mm.
And I think actually that so whoop, my biggest job as a parent to
Mm.
my 6-year-old and my 8-month-old is to help them feel comfortable with the bigness of their emotions.
Wow.
They're not scared of their emotions,
Yeah.
and they don't make reactive decisions, so that they can stay present despite big feelings.
Yeah.
And so to face those, to see the titles in those, EFT for PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
EFT EFT for divorce,
Yeah.
EFT for brain injury, EFT
Mm.
for bullying in grade school,
Yeah.
um, EFT for job transitions, EFT
Mm.
for right lifestyle, whatever that thing might be.
Yeah.
But to read titles as the search reveals them, and then recognize um, what titles generate the strongest reaction in your body,
Right.
because the titles that have the strongest reaction provide the opportunities for the greatest transmutation.
I agree. I agree. That's amazing that you're doing that for your 6-year-old and your 8-month old, because I'm from a generation of parents that didn't understand any of that,
We
and
both
so
are. We
right,
both are.
and
You're not
so
so much of a
and I think that when you so okay, to come back to that question, because it was like for both PTSD and also for clairvoyancy. So for if you wanted to know about being a clairvoyant, I guess the first thing would be to just in the very early hours of the morning, what first thoughts come into your mind, and journal those things down. It's one of the things I learned how to do. I was always a clairvoyant since I was probably 5, 6 years old. I can remember many, many things when I was 5 and 6. And, but I think journaling is a classic example because we all have an intuitive ability. It's just that we've chosen to not look into it with a sense of importance. We just kind of dismiss, oh, that thought, no, that person's a great person, but deep down you knew straight away they weren't. And, that decision making, that conversation, to sign that contract was not a good idea to sign that contract because something really said to you deep within yourself, absolutely, that's not a good idea. And then you signed it anyway. So,
we've chosen because we've chosen because that's the pattern we adopted young in order to keep ourselves safe and loved and cared for when we
mhm,
were young and little and feeble to take care of ourselves.
yeah.
And so there's a lot of reorientation that needs to happen within
Mm,
yourself in order to accept the gifts you have.
yeah.
Reorientation is a strong word, but like I said yesterday, like I think I might have wrote a note about it. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But the thing is, uh, to step into the life you want, you have to let go of the life you had. And there's a lot of ego attachment to the f- the fortress you built around the life that you had, and that's why I call it like a fortress, right?
That
Oh,
that
a thing.
that is a very serious uh response, and I have to add to that because we do attach ourselves to so many things of the past. We've created a fortress around that very thing that we think is us, and actually half of it is just about survival. The other half of it is about conditioning, um, and a lot of and because I am going to have to do a whole talk about shadow work, I will have to do on a conversation, but certainly I've realized how many things I was attached to that has, when I started to reintegrate the truth of what's really going on and detaching what I no longer require in my life, stories, you know, thoughts and ideas that don't even matter anymore. As soon as I did all of that, everything seemed to adjust. Everything seemed to change, and such a level of peace that I've never had in all my life. It's really big to say that, but I've there's just such a level of peace that I have in my life through going through and addressing the things that need to be addressed.
So then the question everyone has to wrestle with inside themselves is, what life do you want?
You have to
Right?
have stuff, yeah. What do you want, and why do you want it?
That's in there too. Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
that's deep.
Well, every bit of ancient wisdom and modern understanding that's retracing itself back to ancient wisdom or unifying itself into a more inclusive, holistic worldview is this essential truth that we are all individualized creative points of consciousness where
Mm,
we're God experiencing context.
yeah,
And that means that we are creative. We are we are creation.
yeah,
We are creation creating creation.
eating, yeah. You know, when I figured this out, when I'd heard that the human body, in terms of its sort of composition, is filled with enormous amounts of stardust, and I when I thought I watched a movie, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about stardust. And it was called Stardust. It was called Stardust,
Mhm.
and I just thought to myself, "Wow, how incredible that we think that, we get up, we just do these basic mediocre things each day, and that there's so much more that we can create, there's so much more that we can do, but we're so tied to such of the past, and that everything truly is an experience, and it's how we meander. For me, I swim through these keep it on the Pisces front, but very much we swim through these currents of change. I think there's enormous strength that you need, more than ever, to swim through these challenging moments, but also at the same time able to look back at certain things and go, "Oh, I did that. Don't need to do that again. No need to do that. Let it go." But
And
letting go is hard for some people.
oh,
To let
uh,
go is hard.
yeah, yeah. Especially when it's like asking it's like asking for the keys back
Yeah,
from
absolutely.
a it's asking for the keys back so that whatever it is that you're trying to let go of doesn't have access to your ego fortress.
No, and you
Um,
sometimes you and the fact and when you say you think you don't have ego, you do.
well, and that's a huge misconception is like people talk about killing your ego and I'm like that's not no, you don't want to kill
No,
your you want to entrain your ego to serve you,
yeah, yeah,
to serve your soul.
yeah,
Or but it's very tricky because you can get your ego to think your like your ego is like it's kind of manipulative, I think I could say. And
yeah,
so you can get your ego to um you can get it to serve you, but then it can also make you think it's serving you, but it's controlling you.
right.
So it's a delicate balance of
Again, it's that balance
power
thing. It's the
power versus
balance.
fear. Yeah, it's a balance thing.
You,
Alaki said, "We are not humans experiencing body; we are sentients experiencing human
even,
body." I like that. John Mayer said, "We are bigger than our bodies give us credit for."
yeah,
And, like that's a meta truth, right? Because we are our soul is not in our body is in our soul,
yeah,
and we have an energy field that's bigger than our body, and
right.
that's our soul field. Um, I always laughed when they said, during the COVID years that 5 feet 11 was too close, but 6 feet one was enough. I'm like, what?
What? No, 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 no. Right. No, that makes no sense.
That's
No,
not how that's not how air works.
I just think that when that Alex, that's a very great statement about that we are not humans experiencing the body. We are sentients experiencing a human body. There is this real. I always find it more intriguing when you go to sleep and the journey you go on while you're sleeping, because that for me, I don't know where I heard it, is that when we're sleeping, we're awake. That's when we are awake, when we're sleeping. And that when we're awake, moving about, we're sleeping. So it's the opposite. Because there's
Mm.
so many experiences that you have when you lay down and, go to sleep. Or for those who have the luxury of being able to go to sleep and not wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever else. It's just an incredible, individualizations of God experiencing context of individuality. Absolutely. Yeah. It is. It is. But it's like, and again, I think we probably need to talk about this one on another conversation. But there's an entirely different thing going on when we are sleeping, as where we're going and what we're doing is the most extraordinary feeling that I, can't even begin to tap in. But I'd love to see. Maybe I might write about it. Is that how do you translate the sleep mode and make it a visual story that you could wake up on? You could actually get up and watch what you did while you were sleeping. That for me would be really empowering, and I think anybody who were able to experience their life while they're sleeping, I think they'd be changed forever. I don't think we'd even begin to conceive the idea, is that what I was doing the whole time while I was sleeping? And I think that there is that it's just come to mind that we're talking about it because we do so much. We're not just going, we're not just doing that. We're doing a lot more. And well, for those who do snore, I know I snore, not so loudly, but yeah. So coming back to the clairvoyancy, and I just want to talk about that because it's something, it's part of my life, and I was very, as you know, I was not very open about talking about it way back during COVID time. Yet a lot of people knew that I was, and that I thought was intriguing because I thought, and they do say that 60% of communication is non-verbal. So I was curious to know, how does one know that someone is a clairvoyant, even though you can't see them? Because we have the luxury of seeing each other right now. But when we were doing the podcast, we couldn't see each other. We could only hear each other. And yet the relationship connections we had was so strong that there was something very spiritually going on there. That spiritual connection was truly extraordinary. And I think when I saw a photograph of you, I think it was your profile or something, and I had all these ideas about what you'd look like, but I didn't know what you looked like. And then when I saw you, it kind of went, yeah. But I could see you already, but that was the clairvoyance part of me.
Hmm.
And because I could feel those nuances, very educated, very articulate, a very deep thinker, lives in a maze of knowledge and is trying to figure their way out. Because every time I see you, I see spaghetti. Every time I saw you, I thought of heard your voice, I think of spaghetti, and all these intertwined levels of knowledge, kind of moving through noodles. I just thought it was an interesting, and that for me, again, it's a clairvoyant thing because I don't know whether that was something you ate when you were young, but it's certainly something that because I always think about bolognese, like bolognese and spaghetti, and I see a lot of. I don't. I'm not. I didn't plan on saying any of this, but it's just really intriguing because when you talk, I don't know whether you probably don't even think about it, but when you do share what you share, there's just so many levels of knowledge that is intriguing, and you make it intriguing because you care, but also you love what you're talking about, and you're really like a truth seeker. Like that's kind of what I gather from you. You're a truth seeker. And I think when I began to understand that this information I'm getting, these pictures, I put them together, made some kinds of sense. I then said to myself, I went to one clairvoyant and said, "Am I clairvoyant?" I said, "Yeah, you are. You are
You
really."
need to tell you you're clairvoyant? You needed a clairvoyant to tell you were clairvoyant?
Yeah,
It's
I wasn't even.
confirming, perhaps, maybe. I can see that.
Yeah, just because I didn't want to think I was going bonkers. Because, it's like and then obviously when I spoke about it on the Wisdom app, and I then people said, "Yeah, but we knew already." We like, "Come on, we knew already." So I thought, okay, and I think what was lovely was I was feeling a sense of acceptance because I didn't really accept myself. And that was all of that. See, I'm dropping another mic drop, because that was what it was. I just wasn't accepting myself. I didn't really need to go to anyone else to ask that.
Yeah, there you go. I remember how, you know, I remember how big of a deal that was for you. Because I remember
Massive.
going like thinking to myself, like, he's really like tripped up on something here. Like he could just be clairvoyant. Like, okay, like just that's what you are. Like, why are you I was like, man, he's really wrapped up and um tied up around not being like the image I have is like you were fighting gravity. Like you were a knot at the end of a string that was hanging.
Yeah,
And so the knot was here, but you had to fight gravity to get to your truth. But
yeah,
all you had to do was let go of the knot
yeah.
and but you couldn't unravel because you were wrapped around yourself
Exactly.
and you're like the gravity of your lived experience. And I'm like,
Yeah. It was
why?
religion. It was religion, religious background. So it was a lot of that growing up. Being very very sort of. I was in a churchy environment, and that was kind of what led to those kind of thought patterns and constructs that I'd created. But I'd let all that go now, and it's really now that I can look at everything. Go, that's why I would go into a house and I'd feel so many bits of information, or I'm washing up. I get it as I talk to you. I have so many things coming in, without wooing anybody. But I get it all. I get people coming in who've moved on or passed on, and they're either passing through and they're going off to the light, or they're passing through and they're confused. They need some clarity. I get all of that, and I used to get spooked because I thought I'm washing up and I'm seeing someone out my window, or covered in rain and really upset. I'm thinking, yeah,
I love the share. I'm not trying to interrupt you. But I wonder if you could share what the journey was because like who you are now is so like seeing you, feeling your presence, like you're so much more centered and harmonious than a couple years ago. A couple years ago, you were really wrapped up in disoriented, and now you're like um the opposite of that, which is like, like I said, centered and resonant. And like radiant, I think is like when people say like I resonate with that idea, uh that it just means that they're like becoming a mouthpiece for somebody else's message. They're not radiating the truth of their own message. And what you're doing now a lot more is you're radiating the truth of your own truth. And so like I wonder, for Alexi and anybody else who listens to
yeah,
this, and also for my own curiosity, like what was the journey like from that dissonant ego fighting, the dragon slaying to the rescuing yourself journey like, and uh the shifting of relationship dynamics with the people you care about in your world, and like, because that's part of the scary part of personal
Yep.
transformation. It's like one thing to face yourself, but it's another thing to face how other people know you, because that risks isolation,
Yep.
excommunication, to
Yep.
use that word strategically and
Yeah.
um, arbitrarily at the same time, right? Because
Yeah.
which you faced on both accounts.
Yep.
Uh, what was that like? How did you shift your world?
Yep.
How did your world shift around you?
Yep.
What was that like?
Yep. I'm just taking in the. I'm just yeah. So, so one of the interesting things, the experience of being on the app to connect with you and connect with so many other people that I did and you did. I met someone on there, Andrea, Dr. Andrea now she's known for. She's a life coach, and she was actually on the same app that we connected on.
Mhm.
I didn't realize she was in England, and I went to go and see her in London. It was very. I went to her house and had lunch and had dinner. Bizarre because it's like me going to your house and having dinner would be like a massive. I don't know. It would just like it's like one of the biggest gifts to be able to sit down with you and share the same air with you in the same space. It just will be a dream, and we will do that. But it's Andrea was the person who was the pivot in my life. She listened to lots of the conversations, as you said about how I came across as someone who was so sort of caught up in so many other things, and she was able to listen to me over dinner, and through that led to her exploring a question that unraveled that knot.
What's the question?
If I remember rightly, she said, "What is it that you're afraid of?
Mm.
What are you afraid of?" There was something I was afraid of. There was something that was really kind of stuck. Something was keeping me very stuck. She probably remember it as being something else, but I remember it as being fear because there was a lot of fear behind the question. I said, I don't want to be judged. I said, "What judged for what?" And then I began to explore that. And as those things began to unravel, there were parts of myself that I didn't show up for. There's parts of me I
Mm.
didn't show the world. So, for instance, I was so scared about the being saying I was a clairvoyant, for instance, and the backlash I thought I would get, but that no backlash. I haven't had any backlash. It was all in my head. So she said, "Okay, well that's now dissipating, so that's okay. What else is there?" And as I began to explore it, she then had an immediate drop in her mind, thinking, "Hang on, you're creative, right? Yeah. You said you trained and did acting. Yeah, I did that. Did drama school. And was there anything you particularly liked in that?" I said, "The dancing bit, the street dance work." And she
Mm.
said, "Oh, okay. Let's look at that. Did you never talk about that? You never mentioned the words street and dance together in the same word. You never talk about it. I was curious why don't you talk about it?" And then that was the moment when that knot dropped,
Mm.
because it was a place where I remember when I was young, I would dance all the time to dance my emotions and dance away my thoughts. And I realized that when she said to me, "Well, you've got the space here. Show me what you actually are then, who you are in the world." Because you said, you face your fears, face it. And I felt very sort of exposed. And she played a piece of music. And I know this for everybody who listens to this and hears this, every one of us has something we hold on for dear life, thinking that nobody can see it. And when someone can actually see you for the very first time, that's when you feel like you can be brave. Like I see you, you definitely see me because the way you kind of summarize what I was before and how I am now. When I showed her what I don't show other people ever, she played the music. She chose it very well because she's from the theatre, music, and all of that. So she had that understanding from some kind of knowledge somewhere from the ether. She played it, and then I showed her. And when it finished, she went, and I get goosebumps every time I talk about this. She said, "You're street dancing. You're really good." Why the heck
Mm.
have you never shown that part of you? Why? And it's because it's a conditioning. The world makes it a way that you don't show up. And so when she was able to allow me to be myself, that allowed me to then do the work, the real work, all the shadow stuff. All of that was much easier for me to do. And over time, it took about 6, 7 weeks of working with her. I journaled a lot. I journaled my issues, my concerns, my worries, my overthinking, because I was a big overthinker. You know this. I was a big overthinker. And as I began to talk and share over 7 weeks, after the seventh week, I got to a whole new part of my life. And then I began to learn what I want in my life, what I don't want in my life anymore, or that I've grown out of it now. I don't want to be part of that anymore. And that's led to leading a life with a different perspective. One of it has been a life of letting go a lot of things. So I've done a lot of letting go ultimately. And that has led me to being to kind of explore the grounding aspect. How do I ground myself really? When I take my shoes off and I'm barefoot, I try to ground myself in that way. And she then interviewed me. She interviewed me the first time before the 7 weeks. And after the 7 weeks, she recorded the same questions and played both cameras to me. And the two people that I looked at, it's the same person and they're entirely different. Like, not just slightly different, entirely different. And she said, it's because you let go. You felt that you were in a safe place. And because you feel that you're in a safe place, you could unravel yourself in front of me. And that was why I could talk with a sense of embracing myself, like I'm hugging myself all the time. And I give myself a break. And I do say to myself, well done, you've done a good job today. And I don't normally do anything like that, but actually, it's really, really important that you give yourself a break because life can be a challenge if you allow it to be. And that's kind of what led to me becoming who I am today, which is the person that you're talking to is someone who has let go of quite a lot of things that really have no reason to be in my world. What I embrace now is newness and a sense of excitement and thrill for life's new experiences that I can create because I didn't realize I was creating them. I was creating these blocks in my life that seemed really, truthfully, just all made up in my own head. I don't need to be accepted. Why do you need to feel accepted? Those are the questions that I was directed at, and I was able to explore why I was thinking like that. And it was all
You
childhood.
were
Yeah.
you were borrowing someone else's center,
Yeah.
unwilling to live in your own center because you were afraid of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as you've come more into your own center, you have less need to borrow other people's.
Yeah. And criticism was hard. Like to be criticized was actually the wrong framing. It was like it was just feedback. And
Mm.
and it's like I would just get into such a state that I push it down and create multiple levels of trauma. Like just multiple levels because I would just keep it all kind of contained. But actually I didn't realize it was spilling out of me everywhere. And it was quite obvious that there was something very, very wrong here, or something wasn't quite calibrated properly. And yeah, that's kind of how I got to being this, which is what you're seeing, I guess. I think I've answered that question or questions.
Mm.
Does
Very
that make
cool.
sense?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for that thorough explanation and ride along, really, of your life the last few years. Um, is we've been at this for close to an hour, just a few seconds short of an hour.
Oh, well.
Really fun conversation. Thank you so much for joining me on this. Is there any last bit? What do you think? Here's one. What do you think is the most important question um, anyone can ask themselves to start on the journey to personal reclamation?
What's the question? Okay. The question would be, what would you do in your life if you only had 1 week left?
Hmm.
Because when I when I heard that question directed at me, I wouldn't be doing the things that I do. I would fill it with the things that are the most exciting, thrilling. I'm planning to do something that I would never normally do. As a street dancer, and I've made it more public. It's going to be more public as I go on to social and record myself and all those different lovely things. But yeah, what would you do if you only had 1 week left and you knew that you had your full faculties in place, even though after that that's it? What would you do? How would you feel your life? What would you do? Would you reconnect with certain human beings? Would you golf and jump off bungee jumping? Whatever it is, what would it be? Because if you start listing those things, you start realizing, oh, actually, you don't have a week; you have your whole life ahead of you, and you're not too old. You're never too old to create anything new.
That's a meaningful answer because for me, what one step past that I would consider is like, what's the energy behind it? That's energy behind those choices that's looking for an outlet to express. And can you give that energy an outlet in your life, regardless of the week or the year or the decade or the whatever it is the rest of your life, so that that energy can find a way to find expression?
Mm. Well, for me, that question would be dance because
Mhm. Yeah.
because music for me is and it might sound really cliche for some people to hear it, but because the person that you're talking to now is not the same person that does street dance. These are two distinctly different. I don't know how to call it. It's not even an alter ego. It's just a completely different human being. It's a different soul, spirit, whatever. Because when I hear music, I hear calibration. If I hear music, I hear knowledge and information. My body then connects with it in a way that I guess some people don't connect to the way I do. Because and it's a freeing. There's almost like a healing process that goes on with me when I do it. Because when I finish, I feel completely like all of this has all that what the aim of this, the objective of this, I do in dance. As
Thing you give freedom to express
I move with it. I move with everything, my whole body. Yeah.
the idea. I got a crazy idea. I got a super crazy idea. So you mentioned earlier, you gave me this really nice personal analysis where you said that I like uh in my own words, I would say that like you said or what I took away from it was you said that I take extreme polarities and I bring them together to one presence.
Yeah.
Mm. I wrote a song a few years ago called Atom and the Star. Not atom like biblical, but atom like
Yeah.
atomic, the smallest thing, atom, smallest thing and the biggest thing, and bringing them together into one thing.
Yeah.
Um, and um, it's this guitar riff with a really groovy background, with a really like cool rhythm. Um, I wonder if you would want to street dance to it.
What here?
I mean, not here. Maybe we could schedule another time to do this, and
Yeah.
we could
Yeah.
I could play it live.
Yeah, sure.
You could street dance to it,
Yeah.
wherever you are. I don't
Yeah.
know. Um,
I'd probably
that's
do that in the
like
studio, probably. I'd probably do it in the studio because I like to practice and in the studio. And that for me is a space where I can move in much, I mean, I can move in a tiny space. And I've even had some people saying I was in a bar with some friends and I forgot where I was because the music was so good. I forgot, and they apparently 150 phones were out filming it all, and I was like, "Geez, what are you gonna play it?"
I want to give you a preview of the riff.
Okay,
It's a little out of tune, but here's the riff.
okay,
Ooh, it's so out of tune. Here we go.
okay. Oh, okay.
That's in the
Yeah,
chorus.
that's hard. It's a lot on the body for that
It's
one.
percussive for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I think but yeah, I think yeah, yeah, definitely coming back to the question about you saying, what would be the question? Yeah, for me, if I hadn't, if I, yeah, or even another question I could think of is, what if you had no barriers to doing something brand new? What would you do? Because I know when I think about that, and when I dance the way that I do now, the way that I move is different. A lot of my friends on this side of the shore have said there's something different. There's just really something different about you, and it's like is that something that's
Your
just
soul, your soul landed.
it's like something's just like you've just shifted something, and it's like you're so centered on this, but you're also freed up. There's nothing like in the way, and I'm because I've been doing this work, and it's so much fun, and yeah, the street dance stuff is something really exciting, and I'm really pleased that I've allowed myself and given myself a little bit of a hug and say, look, you can do this, and I did it. I did it in front of a bar of 200 people, something like that, and
Mm.
that was quite to have phones staring at me and flashing at me. I would have had trauma two,
I
three,
want to.
4 years ago.
Would Do you want me to give you a recording of that song so that you can
Yeah.
practice? Because I want to do it. I want to do it in a place where there's a lot of people. So
Okay.
I mean, so like that bar place that you mentioned could be like
Yeah.
a great place, and then the people who are watching the video could like see how you're received in real time and be like a part of the experience in the.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. I'm cool with it. I'm down with that. It's like, it's really, yeah, that please share it and I'll share the dates, my birthday and all that sort of.
Perfect.
So, well, firstly, thank you for having me on here. I'm really excited to do more, and I'm also going to invite you onto mine as well at some point.
Let's do it. Love it, Ryan.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being a part of, for joining me on this conversation. Great to meet you face to face finally.
Yeah. After
Uh,
how many years? What for?
for something like that,
Wow.
for change, whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and look, we'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thanks very much for having me.
Thanks, Alexi, for being here. Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye.